Okay, let's talk about how to read chord stamps. So we're not actually going to be looking at chords quite yet. The only thing that we're going to be doing in this lesson is learning how to read chord stamps. Now some chord stamps look different than others. In my chord stamps, I like to provide a little bit more detail since they may be the first time that you're looking at them. However, later on in your playing and in your practice, you may come across other chord stamps that have less information than what I provide here. But your intuition and your expertise as you start gaining that in playing guitar will help assist you even if you don't have the same high detail that I have in these chord stamps, okay? So most chord stamps look pretty similar to this. You have a representation of the fretboard. And at the top here, you're going to find the nut, which represents the nut on your guitar, followed by frets 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Usually it won't denote what the fret is. You're just going to use common sense there. These lines represent the strings. And you can see that the strings represented on my chord stamps are actually thicker over on the left and thinner over on the right, just like your guitar. You'll also notice that there are some green dots here, and that represents the actual notes of the chord that will be played. The numbers inside of these green dots represent the finger that will play that chord. Now again, don't get confused because we're not playing any chords yet. Just understand what it is that we're looking at, okay? Because I know already some of your minds are going, how am I going to put one finger across 3 frets? And it is possible. It's called a bar, and that's represented by this arc right here. But you don't have to worry about that right now because, again, the only purpose of this lesson is how to read the chord stamp, nothing about actually playing a chord. So these green dots represent the notes that will be played. In this case here, where you see the red circle around the green dot, that represents the root note. And a root note is the letter name of the chord that the rest of the chord is built upon. In this case here, we have 2 X's. And this X means don't play the note at all. Don't play that string whatsoever. Means that that note or that string is not going to sound good in the chord. This X here represents a note that could be played. It's optional, but it's usually not played. This chord represented is a D major 7. And a D major 7 chord has an A in it. In fact, this note's an A. So having an A, a lower A in the chord would not be entirely wrong, but most of the time, unless denoted as an inversion, which means we're inverting the root note, usually we won't play this note, okay? So again, this is nothing that you need to know right now in regards to inversions and that sort of thing. That's stuff that we're going to be talking about later on. But just know that there is sometimes a reason that I would have this as an optional note. Usually you're not going to play it, but it is optional. We have these fret markers, right, which basically just show you where you're at on the fretboard. Nothing that you play. It's just usually we have fret markers at 3 and 5 on the guitar and other frets as well. So again, the numbers telling you what fretting finger to use would be represented here. In most chords, you're going to find different numbers. Now, later on, when you run into chord stamps that don't have this, because you're learning the proper protocol, fingering protocol for individual notes and chords, it's not going to trip you up later. But for right now, I want to not leave any stone unturned so you truly understand what it is that you're looking at when you're looking at these chord stamps. Now, that covers the basic idea of chord stamps. Just rest assured, we're going to get to chords, the technique, and all the rest. Right now, we just want to understand how to read a chord stamp. Now that you know that, you can feel secure in this. If you need to watch it again, watch it again. And otherwise, let's keep going.